All right, welcome to another episode of the 24th Floor. It's that time of the year when you can watch your favorite pro team, your favorite college team. It's a buffet of sports.
I love it. As the great philosopher T.I., my Atlanta native, once said, you can have whatever you like. Yeah, you can have whatever you like.
I'd like for you to stop singing.
Now you, I know. Haters. See, I was gone for a week and I come back, he's still hating.
Straight hate.
Straight hate. I tried to shout him out on Instagram, ignored, didn't even acknowledge it. I was like, all right, man. Now, if you want to watch the Grizzlies, the Tigers, the Rebels, the NFL, it's a sports fan's favorite time of the year. And of course, we can't forget about high school football. That's where we have to start, Ruben.
Yeah, it is playoff time.
Round two.
Yeah, first round of the playoffs are over with. And probably the biggest upset across the state, Houston beating Germantown.
Yeah.
I mean, can we talk about that for just half a second? Houston had been struggling throughout the course of the season.
3-7.
Yeah, 3-7. They barely scraped their way in and then beat one of the hottest, most dangerous teams in the entire area.
A team that I've said many times on this program is probably the best team in the area. Them and Southwind, and then they played in Southwind, proved that they were better. But can we pull up the graphic of how many area teams we got here in the Memphis area that's remaining? It's about 12. And Houston is one of those teams. Now, for me, when I look at Houston, Ruben, they remind me a lot of Alabama in a way. The reason why, hear me out. I know they can't see your face.
I'm going to wait for it.
So, back-to-back, going to the Blue Cross Bowl, playing for a state title game where it doesn't matter what type of season you have, you know you're going to be there in the end.
Yeah.
And they're proving that now. They got to get it done this week. Everything goes on the road. They will not, I don't think they'll play at home, but still, you let Coach Thomas's group get into the playoffs, now you're seeing what they can do.
He might have been real slick with me. He might be an evil genius.
I still wanted a home game.
Yeah, but their seeding, getting past Germantown, now it's not as rough this is not the roughest road they could have paved.
Yeah, and then they're battle tested.
Yeah, this is not the roughest road they could have paved at all. And so they do have a chance to continue to advance.
They want to make it 3 in a row. Now, they lost a lot of the guys from those Blue Cross Bowl teams, but they still.
And Coach did tell us that very young in certain positions, yeah.
And now they've kind of learned on the fly that here they are now, a team that a lot of us think is going to be in Chattanooga, Southwind.
Yeah.
Can we pull up that video? What do you call him? What do you call Kelvin Perkins?
They call him Lil P.
Lil P.
That's his nickname. Lil P is his nickname.
You said you saw him recently.
Yeah, I saw him out at the youth football game the other day. He was out there supporting the youth, so shout out to Lil P for taking time out on his Saturday. He was there for a couple, 2-3 hours, just watching some youth football and taking pictures and signing autographs and just being cool with the kids.
I think he's going to be a 2-time Mr. Tennessee football when it's all said and done.
I don't know how anybody but him wins this thing at this point. They're going to be hosting Brentwood.
I'll be at that game.
Brentwood 7-4. Yeah, you will be there. Now, Kelvin Perkins got something like 50 touchdowns on the season.
Yes.
Something like that. It's crazy. The dude is Mr. Everything. When I watched him in person, first game of the season, it was Lausanne. I was like, yeah, okay. It was slow starting. I had to get back to the station. He kind of went off after I left. This is that Lausanne game I'm talking about. But throughout the course of the season, whenever I've been able to watch him in person again, he's been a human highlight reel.
Yeah, and then for Southwind, I know at the beginning of the season we talked about Mace making the jump from 1A to 2A. Mace lost last week in the first round, but Southwind is showing that the jump has been no sweat for them, making this move up to the 6A, and they haven't missed a beat. And I know Perkins technically is committed to Austin Peay, but I wouldn't be surprised if he wins all the way and reopens his commitment.
I don't want to speculate, but I kind of heard, let me just say that. There's a chance, I think, that anything can happen. The guy has.
Go ahead and say it.
No.
Go ahead and say it.
No rumors and speculation around here. There's a chance that could happen. He's proved that he can play at an extremely high level. And I think, to me, it's for a guy like him, it's more about the fit. Does one of these schools, one of these bigger schools, if they come knocking, are they going to put him in a position where he can do what he wants to be doing?
Check this out, Ruben. 30 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions. And then he's rushed for almost 1,000 yards.
Yes.
Rushed for about 820 yards.
Yes.
I keep telling you, man, he's Lamar.
He is. I mean, he really is like a little Lamar Jackson
Lamar.
out there. He's ridiculously hard to stop. You saw that. We saw that during the Germantown game because Germantown could not contain him. There was one play early in the first half where he had dropped back to pass. The defense rushed him. They looked like they were going to have him down. He spun, wiggled out, and ran 18 yards for the touchdown. And you're just like, what do you do at that point? Even if you have a quarterback spy, that spy's got to be fast enough and physical enough to bring Lil P down, and that's not easy to do.
Let's also get into another game which will end up being our game of the week. That'll be Briarcrest. Now, that's a team that you've seen several times because we've had them as our game of the week. What do you feel about Briarcrest as they're going up against the defending champion McCallie? And Briarcrest didn't play in round one because they had a bye.
Yeah.
What do you feel about them?
I think that Hudson Tucker, that quarterback, is extremely talented.
Also a Mr. Tennessee finalist.
Yeah, Mr. Tennessee finalist. He is extremely talented. He picks apart defenses. He is poised in the pocket. And he's got guys who can catch. He's got dudes that are going to catch the ball and he puts them in tough positions sometimes because that ball has to be placed in the perfect spot. But they always come down with. In fact, I think this dude, one of these guys, has been our play of the night several times.
Davison. Or something like that.
Yeah, anyway, the dude has had several one-handed catches where it just tells you, okay, the kid knows how to make plays. So I think that nearly 2,000 yards thrown for Tucker. He's going to be, yes, they're playing the defending champs, but Briarcrest has lost some games that they probably couldn't or shouldn't have lost. Mm-hmm. So they're better than their record shows.
But I think they've been battle-tested. I mean, you remember that game with Christian Brothers that went into overtime. That was a thriller. The game against Southwind, it went all the way down to the wire. I think it's good that they get to host the champs at home. But I know you're not a baseball guy. It just makes me think of what they said for the Dodgers when you win. If you want to beat the champ, you got to knock them out. So this is an opportunity.
Yeah, and I mean, I think in this game, and then it's not that the road gets easier, but that's a huge hurdle you get past, right? And you're getting past it a little earlier rather than later. I do think hosting at home is a great benefit, mostly because of the travel that comes with having to go, which I don't think a lot of people take into account. They think, oh, home field advantage, all of our fans are there, and that's great. But what really sucks about not playing at home is you got to leave a day or two earlier, or if you leave that day, you're leaving at the crack of dawn.
Yep.
You got to house the kids, you got to feed the kids, you got to keep the kids focused.
We're getting close to finals.
Man, it's just all these things that go into play that have nothing to do with football that you have to account for when you're on the road. Whereas when you're at home, all those things are much more controlled. And so I think that's the biggest benefit of being at home is that you get to control that environment before you ever get to the game.
Now, another team, I must admit, this is kind of on me. I should have been at this team's games more, especially because I live in the area. I'm talking about the Melrose Golden Wildcats. I'm Orange Mountain through and through. We all know that about me. But I think, Ruben, entering this season, I wasn't sure if Melrose could go on the type of run to get back to the state title. But seeing this team from afar, and the one time we got a chance to put our camera on them for the game of the week when they put a whooping on Hamilton.
It wasn't even close.
I think this team can do it. And I always go back to last year when they lost. And I remember the quote from the senior Ryan Brown. He said, "Don't worry, Orange Mountain will be back." And looking at that quarterback they have, Thomas Hefner, another semifinalist for Mr. Tennessee.
I think that's him with the interception.
I agree with what I've heard. If they had him, they probably would have won last year. And now they have him this year, and he's just a sophomore, by the way. I think they can do it. I really like this team a lot.
Yeah.
8 consecutive victories. He's just been whipping it around. He doesn't get as much spotlight as some other guys in our area, but 28 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, rushed for 6 touchdowns. Man, they got, they host Maplewood in the second round. It's going to be a rocking environment.
Melrose is very good. They are very talented. They are skilled in multiple positions. They have size on the line. They've got a coaching staff that couldn't be more in sync, right, than the Twins coaching together.
Twins.
You can't have a more in sync coaching staff. And that group just plays really, really hard and really, really well together. When I watched them play Hamilton, and granted Hamilton's not great, but when I'm watching a game like that, I'm really not watching the score as much. I'm watching the little things, how they react, how they respond, how quickly they can get the play in and out, the execution. And man, they're just on all cylinders. And it just seems like at times when you have a group like that and a team like that, they're making the right plays at the right times of the season. I think they've got a chance to go a long way.
I remember when we had the Morrows on and we talked about staying poised after coming off of that state runner-up and, of course, the scandal where they had to vacate the trophy. And, you're going into the season, a lot of people got the target on their back, people saying they're going to be frauds because they lost some guys, which Jamarian, he's been killing it at A&M, and that was their quarterback last year. But I just really, really love how this team has responded. And, you know, we say it a lot, everything is in front of them. I think they have an amazing opportunity to get back to Chattanooga. Our next team that I want to talk about is a team that's been knocking on the door for Chattanooga, but hasn't been able to get there. And I'm talking about Fairleigh. The past couple of seasons, they've been in the semifinals and keep coming up short. They're led by their quarterback, Andrew Johnson. He's a senior now. Another guy who is Mr. Tennessee Finals. That just speaks to the talent we got here in the Memphis area. He leads our area with 35 touchdowns, more than 2,300 yards, only 5 interceptions, completing 65% of his throws. Now, Ruben, you and I both know when we go to Fairleigh Bulldog games, it's dusty there. We call it the Dust Bowl.
Yeah, the fact that he can complete those passes with all that dust, it speaks volumes to his vision. I'm about to, I'm just saying, it's dusty out there. One thing I did notice when I watched him play is that he has an ability to keep a play alive. So he can move around in the pocket, scramble behind the line of scrimmage to give his receivers time to break open and get open. It wasn't necessarily, 3-step drop and let it fly. It was three-step drop, see through the dust, and then get the ball to the right place. So I do think you're right. Fairleigh's got a good knock on. Just the fact that we've got so many teams in the area, 12 teams who have a chance to get to the state championship.
Well, let's bring that back up. Well, actually, before we bring that back up, we cannot ignore what's going on in North Mississippi. So really quick, producer Leanna, could you please pop up for the wonderful people how many teams we got remaining on the Mississippi side? It's not as many as over here, but it's still 9 teams remaining. You got Horn Lake, who was in our game of the week. They're hosting a playoff game. You got DeSoto Central. They were also in our game of the week. They're going to be on the road. You got Hernando on the road at Oxford. So that's 2 teams. Yeah. Senatobia on the road at Corinth, another 2 teams. Lake Cormorant, South Panola, Center Hill. Ruben, I think what we've talked about off air is you talk about the talent in the area. And now we sit here, we got roughly 21 teams, because 9 in North Mississippi, and then we got 12 on the Memphis side. I know you're not. I think we'll get a lot of teams in the state title game.
Maybe so, but the thing I've noticed is that
I think we'll get
week
6.
to week, it was tough to find great matchups.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that talent, while you see there are all those teams, a lot of the talent is in certain areas.
Yeah.
And so then you'd have to kind of wait, like which week can you get a good game where 2 good teams that are loaded with talent are going head to head. That's why the Southwind Germantown game was so hyped, because it was like, all right,
Super Bowl.
You're finally getting all this good talent playing against each other. So I do think there'll be several teams who have a really good opportunity. But the flip side of that is we aren't covering the other side of the state.
Yeah.
So we don't know how good those teams really are. We don't know how battle-tested they are. We don't know anything. We don't know enough about them to be able to say, well, just because we're good over here, that we should be the ones that we're probably going to win. I think that's the fun part about the state tournament and the state championship is you're having a game plan in a week for a team you have virtually no film on. You're getting film on Sunday, getting your game plan together by Monday, and you've got to get that all implemented by the time you play on Friday.
Can I make a take, since I know you like to say all the time if I'm right or wrong? Last year we had 3 teams in the Memphis area that made it to Chattanooga.
You think there'll be more this year?
Yes.
Okay. I think that given the list,
pull up our Memphis list real quick.
I think Southwind, Melrose, Fairleigh, and I don't know enough about who Briarcrest is playing, but Briarcrest has the talent.
Briarcrest is playing the defending champs.
Yeah, so
they get by them, I think. I don't know a lot about Middle College.
Yeah, Central has had a great year. So you're right. Yeah. There could be 5 from this list who make it. But
I've heard so many good things about Covington, but because they're so far away, they're technically in our area, but they're far away. I haven't got a chance to put my eyes on them. On this list, the only 2 teams I haven't personally seen is Covington and Middle College. I've heard great things about Covington, but going down the list, Southwind, I'll be there on Friday. So we know they're the favorite, which they got the pressure. Collierville, I really like how Collierville has answered the bell, because they played those Mississippi teams so that they could get something different, and then they came back and they just ran off with wins. Houston, we'll see. Houston, Collierville got to cancel each other out. Same thing with Whitehaven. It's a lot of good teams here. Real quick, actually, let's pull up the Whitehaven thing, because that's where I was at last week for our High School Football Friday. And Whitehaven is a team that has kind of had an up and down. You know, they got off to a hot start when they got the win over Houston, and we ended up realizing Houston wasn't that good in the regular season. And then they lost to Germantown, they lost to Mumford, good teams. And then you went into this game against Bartlett where they're on the road, and Bartlett had the momentum early where you think, okay, Bartlett is going to have this thing going away, and then Whitehaven took care of business in the second half. I love the work that Coach Salisbury's been doing. We've had him on the show several times. Obviously, you know, I love watching number 21, Christopher Talley. I talked to him in person at the game. I say he runs like Barry. I say, don't let me down. What do you feel about them, Ruger?
I think that, unfortunately for Whitehaven, that up and down, you have to be careful because you're in the playoffs and you can't afford a down.
Yeah.
During the regular season, you don't want a down, but you can afford a down. You can afford a down week and then bounce back the next week. Well, that doesn't happen in the playoffs. You can't afford a down week. I think that when Christopher Talley has the ball, he's one of the most dynamic kids in the area.
I think he's the most dynamic running back we got.
Yes.
Him and McFadden with Briarcrest.
I think McFadden is coming along and will eventually be that guy in this area. But right now, I would say the Talley kid is just, when he gets, every time he touches it, you think it could go 100 yards. He could go 90 yards.
And you see Whitehaven host their game this week after being on the road. And I would initially look at that and be like, okay, that crowd. But in the regular season, they've had big games at home and haven't answered the bell. So I know Coach Salisbury is happy to play in front of the home crowd, but he's not probably treating home field advantage as he normally has because they've had their opportunities. They lost to Germantown at home. They lost to Mumford at home. These are good teams.
Those are good teams.
And if you lose this time, there is no tomorrow.
Yeah, but I always say, in my mind.
But you want to play at home.
If you're going to lose, I always tell people, if I'm going to lose, it better be to a team that's as good, if not better than me. I don't want to lose to a doo-doo team because I didn't play good. And so their losses are not what we would consider bad losses, right? If this was college football playoffs and you were looking at their wins and losses, you'd say, well, those are good losses, right? They're to other teams in the playoffs. Those are the losses you can afford. So I don't put as much weight on those losses. I would just say that the only problem that Whitehaven may suffer is if a team continues to load the box
on Jaden.
Yes.
Yeah.
On Talley. And then forces them to beat them in the air consistently. That might be where they're going to have to make some adjustments. But outside of that, if you can't stop them from running, then you ain't going to stop them. So.
Any other teams you want to spotlight?
We've talked about most of these.
we got just call it.
Yeah.
We got it. We got it ready. You see, we got the video ready.
I do think Collierville has had an interesting season after going, basically, I think undefeated in the regular season last year, or up until the last game before they lost. They've had an interesting season this year. They're going to be, they're 8-3. They're hosting
Antioch. Isn't that a national team?
Antioch is a good team. It's a national team.
That's a Nashville area team.
But that's another situation.
That's how you pronounce it, Antioch?
Antioch, yeah. But somebody better have a game plan for slowing down their running back.
I know that's your guy.
That dude, he is absolutely a horse. Bro is, without a doubt, one of the strongest running backs that I've seen in a long time. Autry.
There you go.
Yeah, Lawrence Autry. That dude is tough, and he can run. Now, they do switch out their quarterbacks during the game.
I think it's cool.
So
keeps defense guessing.
I do think it gives them an advantage at times, depending on what they got going on. But I do think, man, if you don't have a plan, and if you have to stack the box against Autry, then it is going to leave you open in other areas because you're probably playing single safety because you're not going to play cover 2 and try to stack the box. You're going to go cover 1, stack the box. The corners are on an island by themselves, and you got one safety. That makes it tough. Because if he gets to that second level, those guys are not stopping him.
Can I just say how fun this has been covering high school football this season? Like every week, obviously, normally we would have our coaches on in this spot, but because we're the playoffs, we just want to let them stay focused on the task at hand because it's win or go home. Our last game of the week was at North Point, and they didn't win, and so their season ended. Now, what will be different for this week on the game of the week is, Ruben, you won't be out there live, but it's a reason why. Yeah. Can you tell the people why you won't be live?
Yeah, so we have something special going on this week. Our game of the week will still be this game, Chattanooga McCallie at Briarcrest, but we won't be live there at 5 and 6, and it's because we're going to be doing some other stuff. We're going to be doing the ABC 24 Day of Giving. This will be all day long, so we want you to take part in it as well. It's going to be this coming Friday, November the 14th, television, radio, newspaper outlets, all from the area in the Mid-South, going to be getting together for this day of giving to support the Mid-South Food Bank. Now, together we're going to be accepting donations and raising money to help feed families right here at home. You can scan that QR code that you see on your screen and join us Friday at the corner of Poplar and Highland from 6 in the morning till 7 o'clock in the evening. You can make your in-person donations. Together, obviously, when Memphis comes together, we make a big difference.
I'm going to try to make it out there, but that's a long day. I already have long days on Friday with, everything we got going on between, the shows, the newscasts, and then the Friday night at football. It'll be a long day, but yes, please donate.
All right, so the college football season is in crunch time. We've been talking high school, but we got college football season in crunch time. Ole Miss still in the driver's seat.
Yeah, but Memphis is going to need some help. We'll talk about it when we come back.